Russian troops intensified their assault on Avdiivka Donetsk region. The enemy began a massive shelling of the city on the morning of October the 10th. Then, with the help of 3 battalions with the support of tanks and armored vehicles, it tried to advance on Avdiivka, Tonenke and Pervomaiske. The fighting around the city has not stopped for 3 days. The Ukrainian Defence Forces are holding their positions.
We hear explosions, machine guns are working, the Russian occupiers are trying to do something, but they are not succeeding, thank God.
Eduard is a tank gunner. He has been at the front for a year and a half. He had experience working with tanks in his youth during his draft military service. This came in handy during the first battle after the full-scale Russian invasion.
They stormed the positions here, not far from us. Not that harsh, so I could remember it very much, but it felt like the adrenaline was pumping, because it was the first time. It was both scary and not. Afterwards I thought that, thank God, everything worked out.
According to military personnel, Russian troops have been trying to capture Avdiivka for a year and a half, but the city is well fortified and these attempts are unsuccessful.
Drew 50 to 60 meters. My guys even lowered the barrow into the trench. What can I say? I also participated in that. The soldiers did a great job.
Is it quiet now?
This is silence. It is quiet for now. But there are such trips that you remember your mother. A signal can come at any second. You jump in and go. There is no such thing as I'm afraid here. There is no such thing.
Driver Andrei is showing the vehicle he works on, a T-64 tank. His crew went through more than one battle on it.
Sometimes we go straight there, right into the dugouts. This also happens because sometimes the enemy digs in. There is simply no way to get them out. There are 4 floors of these logs, manholes on their backsides that you can't get around because there are minefields and you have to go in and dig them there. That's it.
A dog is constantly hovering near the tankmen in their positions. The military nicknamed her Alice. She became very attached to them and is waiting for their return from combat missions. Despite the constant attacks by Russian troops, civilians remain in Avdiivka. The settlement is located 3 kilometers from the demarcation line and is severely destroyed. But despite this, civilians still live here. In total, there are about 1,500 people. As a result of Russian attacks, there are no communications in the city. Civil people mostly live in basements and shelters. Hundreds of houses in Avdiivka look like this today. They were destroyed by the Russian occupiers. Despite all this, one store continues to operate here, and civilians are trying to create coziness and comfort in their yards.
I walked around the village where I would see something beautiful. I cut it off with scissors. They are little there, so I feel sorry for them. And this is the bouquet. I did this on purpose, so I covered the house so as not to be cold. And then I saw, let the rain and wind wash it out a little.
So you did this to get it washed?
So that it can be washed, and at the same time, to create comfort, I also put the mattress here.
Tamara is a professional medical worker. She worked for 45 years at a local hospital. Now her knowledge also helps her family and neighbors. She has so far refused the evacuation proposed by the military administration and police. She says she set up a basement for her safety.
Bend over here and now light up here. This is a sofa. I am also making sleeping places for people. Maybe people will come. Look here. This is one sleeping place. There are 2 sleeping places for children. Here you can see Madonna. It was I who covered it with all the carpets, with all the things I found. I covered all the walls. This is a soldier's. My son brought it. This is to prevent clothes from getting damp.
According to the head of the Avdiivka city military administration, more than 10 people were evacuated from the city over the past week. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Anastasia Volkova, UATV News.